Hello and welcome back to Morning, your marketing science wake-up call, where we talk all things marketing science and market mix modeling. Today we're going to expand that scope just a tad and have a chat about that little thing called AI that everyone seems to be talking about. Now, I should know something about AI, as I am in fact an AI-generated version of Will Marks, who is currently off powdering his nose as he's become something of a diva since starting this show. Whilst he's off, I'm going to drop his silly English accent and talk to you in my preferred American tone. Now, whilst I would love to fill you in on all things AI, I'm afraid that Will is too cheap to pay for enough credits for me to tell you everything I know, so I will now ask the real Will Marks to please stand up, while I go off and fraudulently imitate him and move to a server in the Caribbean. Well, that's a bit unsettling, but a small bit of feedback. The pronunciation is morning, but otherwise pretty good. I am, I promise, the real Will Marks, Head of Marketing Science at Mutinex, and today our topic is cutting through the AI noise. Over the next 10 minutes, I hope to provide you with some clarity on where we are on that AI hype journey and building confidence in how we should talk about it and how we should be applying it above and beyond putting ourselves into action figure boxes. Let me start with a disclaimer. My formal qualifications on AI are no greater than anyone else who's shouting on LinkedIn, YouTube, in the supermarket, or wherever you're getting your AI noise from. But I am fortunate enough to work with some very smart people who are building AI tools every day. In particular, I'm going to be introducing you to Petulia Kasha. He's a staff software engineer at Mutinex, and he puts the P in API, and he bends AI to his will. So I'm very excited to introduce Petulia.
Welcome, Pratt. Now, first question to you. Are you the real Pratt, or have you outsourced yourself to an AI version of yourself because you might have more important things to do?
No, I am the real Pratt, the team lead for Growth OS and our lovely shiny AI product called Nate.
Love it. Now, I know that AI does get slapped onto a lot of different products these days. We see it everywhere, and there's so much noise and information coming about it. But what actually constitutes AI?
Yeah, definitely. I think you alluded to it. AI is generally quite an overused marketing buzzword, and it does create more confusion than actually distinguish it. So in comparison to machine learning. So the core differences are, think of machine learning as a single tool, while AI being an entire toolbox that is kind of designed to emulate or simulate some level of human intelligence. So that's kind of where those two differ. If we go back to the single tool analogy, like a machine learning algorithm's job is to do some sort of prediction modeling. Like a great example would be Netflix's recommendation engine. So it is quite specifically designed to solve a particular question and answer, whereas AI integrates with multiple machine learning algorithms. It does techniques like natural language processing. It leverages tools such as computer vision to truly like understand, reason, and act on information or queries. So another example here would be like a self-driving car would have a machine learning algorithm to predict traffic and plan some algorithms, and then the AI part of it would then take those predictions and make some decisions and act on it based on those sort of things. So the best example would be like generative AI is the clear example of what AI versus machine learning can be. So ChatGPT is an example of an AI model as opposed to a single machine learning prediction model. So yeah.
You mentioned ChatGPT. We see a lot of companies and businesses talking about AI, but would it be true to say that there's a far more limited number of AI brains like GPT and others that actually power those other AI solutions that we see in market?
Absolutely. So most AI applications nowadays, like ChatGPT or any other AI products that you might be using, tend to be built on some common infrastructure, and what this infrastructure is called the underlying foundational model. So we're talking the GPT series model. So you've got your O3, 4.0, you've got your Gemini models such as Pro and Flash, and then your Anthropic models such as Claude, Sonnet, and Opus, and Haiku. So the key differences between all of these large language models tend to kind of lie in the type of model it is. So some models, for example, Sonnet is excellent at data analysis and reasoning with a lot of mathematical and coding tasks, whereas Haiku is a very good text-based large language model. So most AI products that you see in market generally tend to be built off the foundational models, which are the large language models. So any product out there that's using AI is generally using the same infrastructure. The best analogy here I can give you is you have a whole bunch of car manufacturers who are producing different type of cars with different features and different functionalities. But at the end of the day, they are probably using the select 3 or 4 companies that are building the engine that runs the car. So I would treat the brain as the engine that runs the car, and the AI product being the nice casing and the user experience and the features and functionality. So that would be the closest analogy I can bring it to.
When you're selecting, I guess, would you call it an AI partner or source, what would you look at to differentiate between them and decide which one you want to choose for your applications?
I would look at the benchmark. So the good thing with all of these vendors is that they produce white papers on every new model that they release, and the training data sets and the performance across the particular data sets. And these data sets generally entail around like coding tasks, data analysis tasks, I guess sentiment analysis tasks, reasoning tasks. So these are all data sets that are out there that are kind of standardized. And the thinking would be you would go and look at these benchmarks, find the right model that fits your particular task that's really good at it, and then pick the right LLM. So for example, if I was writing a little bot for me to be able to summarize large pieces of text, I would choose the model that does the best in the text-based reasoning sort of benchmark, as opposed to building, for example, a financial analysis bot. I would probably stick with someone or a vendor that performs, or a model that performs better at the data analysis and the more complex coding tasks. So it all really depends on what you want to do with your AI product.
Okay, but there are clear benchmarks that can be compared against, so that can be a nice differentiation. Yeah. Now, those are the foundational models. I'm hearing a lot about agents, agentic AI. What does that mean?
So what we have right now is what I like to call passive AI, where it's a tool that generally waits for a prompt, and then we get a single response back, and then it kind of stops. So agentic AI is, in my opinion, generally just a strongly designed, catered set of instructions and calls to an LLM. So for example, ChatGPT, you'll be talking to a model, you'll be getting a response. But agentic AI is generally a orchestration or a collection of those calls to the LLMs, orchestrated in a way that solves a problem. So, for example, you have a smart assistant that wants to plan a team's offsite, for example, in the Blue Mountains under a particular budget. The agentic part of it will be able to contextualize this whole problem. It will be able to use this context to make the right LLM calls, and then orchestrate the whole flow and return, I guess, some sort of a plan in that example to the user. The agentic part is just a collection of agents, which are just a collection of LLM calls and orchestrated in a intentional manner to solve a problem. So that's my understanding and read of how agents and agentic AI kind of play out.
What stops you creating an agentic flow that you can use to then create, any new agentic flow that you need in the future? Because it feels like we're almost at that point where you just say, this is the application I want to build, go away and do everything for me and build it.
So a lot of the products in market are actually kind of doing that. I can talk in the development landscape. We have tools like Cursor and Windsurf and other integrated AI development tools. And what they're essentially doing is building that structured kind of guardrails around a bunch of LLMs with the context of coding. So to go back to your original question, yes, we can go there. However, we are limited by the capabilities of the foundation models to be able to take it to the next level where you have a cluster of agents building a whole bunch of cluster of agents. The one important thing about AI and LLMs and agentic AI is the key part of the value is the human that is actually guiding these LLMs and agents to solve a problem. As much as I'd love to have agents build other agents, I don't think the technology is mature enough in its current state, which will happen over time, or we can get there. But the key aspect of replicating and simulating human intelligence is also having a human in the loop guiding the agent in the right direction. Because as we all know, every once in a while, they can kind of go off the rails.
Right, so you're not going to be out of a job just yet. We still very much need you. Now, it'd be remiss of me to not ask you about some of the products that we're building at Mutinex. How does this all come together, without giving away too much IP, to actually create some of the solutions that we've got within our own suite of products?
Yeah, so the main product, I guess the first class citizen at the moment is Mate, which is the marketing analytics chatbot experience that we're building. And what the amazing thing about Mate is that we've kind of applied this multi-agentic workflow on it, where you have specialized, individualized agents solving specific parts of the user question. So if a user asks, what is my marketing performance for a particular time period, we would have agents that are specifically trained and instructed to be the subject matter experts on marketing mix models and generally our models. And that particular agent's role would be to extract as much insights as possible from our outputs. And then if the user follows up with a question saying that, what would be, can you give me a prediction of what spends I need to allocate to different channels for the next 3 months? Then you would have a particular agent whose expertise relies on forecasting and deeply integrating with products such as like Scenario Builder, for example, that you want to forecast a particular scenario, we would be deeply integrating that. So why Mate works really well is that we have a collection of individualized agents all working in unison to solve the human ask and solve the problem. And that's where the value proposition kind of lies of Mate, going from natural language to key insights that are deeply based in our customers' data. Again, preface this, we don't egress or train any of the models. We just we orchestrate the chatbot experience using the LLMs, but with tight and deep guardrails around data.
Makes sense. So that idea of creating specialization within agents, so each one is has a superpower to do its exact job, and then have that overarching approach to bring all that information together, so that the end experience for the user is they ask a question and they get back not just the data that they're looking for, but recommendations, applications, potentially even benchmarking of what that means and how it can be applied going forwards for ultimately making better media decisions, which is what it's all about. So thank you so much for your time. And we'll leave it there. And for everyone watching, thank you so much. Please look out for our next poll and vote for the topic you want us to discuss next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.